Hi, welcome to the video. This is an update from the last previous video I have done of the GME TX4500 series radios. Uh, like I said last time, these radios do fluctuate. In the last video I mentioned they do fluctuate in power, RF power. So this particular one, the highest I can crank this one is 4.1 watts, but we will demonstrate the value at the moment. I had it set it on 3.5 watts, but we're going to crank it up to the maximum value, 4.5 watts. So they're not actually a 5 watt radio, they're under, but we're going to show you how to get more power out of them, because when you buy these radios out of a box, some of these particular radios I tested in the past, they're only making between 2.5 to 3.5 watts. So like I said, these particular radios, they fluctuate in RF power. So I'm going to show you the dealer software. If you know if someone's got the dealer software, or you can get your hands on it, or if you're a GME dealer, you should be able to have access to the dealer software, but you can only do this from the dealer software. So what we'll do is we'll come across here and we'll show you the dealer software. So if we can get that to focus a bit better, that's the dealer software right there. Now this particular software, there's stages of it. GME does stages, so you got the TX3500 series, TX4500 series, and so on. So this particular software here services the TX4500 series radios. So that's the one there you're looking at, and this particular software only does this model of radio. So keep that in mind. You can't load this software up on a TX3500 because it won't load, because it's different software and different programming sort of thing, but that's how the software is set up. But anyway, we want to get into the software and how we're going to boost more power out of this radio. So I tested a few of these radios. On average, they're between, like I said before, 2.5 watts to maybe 3.5, but they're not, these radios don't make 5 watts at all, sort of thing. Sometimes you can get them to make 5 watts, sometimes you don't. So depending how they program the radio on the day, how they manufacture them, sort of thing, it does alter a little bit. But we can go in from the dealer software and we can make changes now. So what we'll do is we'll do that right now. So we'll read radio, we'll go OK, apply it. As you can see, that's the software loading up, it's reading the radio. And then we need to go down in here. I don't know if you can see that properly, or bring it in a bit closer. Now, all these settings here, you do not want to touch at all. This is set by the manufacturer. So when they tune the radios and set them up, all this is set up by the manufacturer. So you don't want to touch any of that. Same as the receive side. So this is all the incoming tuning being programmed for this particular radio for the receive sensitivity and all that. You don't want to touch any of that. Same with the meter, the incoming meter shows you the signal. So it's this, say for example, if you got an incoming signal, it'll say on your GME radio plus 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, or wherever the outgoing, I should say, whatever the incoming signal is coming in, it'll show it up on your meter display on your radio. So you don't want to touch any of that. What you want to do is go to the transmit side. Now this will bring up the deviation. You don't want to touch any of that, any of the settings on there, so on. Where it says the RF power, you got your high and low values. So at the moment it's set for 255. That's the highest value you can set that to. We'll go down to 230 if you can see that. So 230. Okay, we're going to press transmit on the software side, and this is going to key up the radio. So I'll press transmit. As you see, the radio is transmitting, and it's only making 3.5 watts. Now, from factory, when you buy these radios, on a rough on a rough sort of tune. They're a bit all over the joint. They, like I said, between 2.5 and 3.5. So that's the value I said. There's 230. Now, just say your radio, if you bought it and you hook it up to a SWR power meter, if you want more power out of the radio, this is how you do it. So you use the software, and then once you access the software, now just say for example that's on a value of 230, and it's only making 3.5 watts. We want to bump that right up, so we'll juice that right up to the maximum value is 255. Now what we want to do is press transmit, and we'll flick it across to the power meter. So there we go, it went from 3.5 to 4.1. So 4.1, 4.5, that's usually the maximum you can see out of this particular radio. That is, I had radios in the past, I can juice them up to 6, 7 watts. The GME radios are a funny thing, they fluctuate in power sort of thing. So I had a way to program them, and then if you reset the value of the software to a higher value like I just did here, and you're making 4.1 watts or 4.5, sometimes you can get the 5 watts out of them. Some radios, depending, you maybe get 6, maybe 7 watts out of them if you're lucky, but on average it's usually under 5 watts sort of thing, unfortunately. So this is the highest value on this radio I can get out of it at the moment. So that's it for that one. So what we'll do is we'll dekey the radio. So we'll press this one here, and you'll see the radio drop from transmitting. Alright, so after you made those changes, what you want to do is exit from here. If I can just get a better look at that from the camera. Exit from there. And then what you technically want to do when you load up the radio, you want to read the radio and save the file first, just in case you make a mistake or you want to set it back to the factory settings. So you save the file. When you load the radio up, make sure you save the file first. That way you got it there, so if you ever want to put the radio back to standard, or something goes wrong in the programming department, if you're programming the radio and you accidentally muck up or mess your radio up, you got the file, you can always click to, refer to, press open, it'll load it up, and then what you do is from there you just write it, and it'll write it back to the radio. So if you make any mistakes or something goes wrong, but it's very unlikely for the loading process to go wrong. But it can happen sometimes, depending, the circumstances. If you got you're doing it from a laptop computer like this, and the computer goes flat, just drops out of power while it's halfway loading up the radio, that can cause some havoc too. So always important to save the file, and then you got a file to that particular radio you can always go back to. But anyway, so once you did that, set the power value 255. That's the value of this particular radio. What you want to do is go right. So you just go click this one here, right to radio, and it's going to write to the radio, load it in. And as you see there on the right hand side, the radio just quickly has a quick blackout, and then the screen comes back on again. So that's just all part of the loading process. So if you see that, don't freak out. It's just the radio doing its thing if you're new to the software or you're new to all this. But today's radios mainly all software driven now. So if you need to make any changes, or alter the settings of the radio, or if you're resetting the alignment of the radio, you do it from the software now these days. That goes with Motorola, GME radios, and so on sort of thing. But anyway, that's the video. That's the update of the video there. If you got the software, the GME software deals software, I'll bring it back up again. Nah, she's gone. Anyway, so that's the software there. So yes, thanks for watching the video, and you got any questions or comments, just leave them in the bottom of the comment section. And yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching.